Well, it has been a while. Oh, whoa. My camera setup has changed since I was last doing this. I think that should be fine. Although, I think I could probably just adjust this. There we go. Much more stable, and now a little bit out of my way. You know, I don't think I ever checked to see if this game had controller support. I don't think it does. It doesn't. Okay, so I guess we'll pick up where we left off. Which I honestly don't remember, because we took a day off. Which I don't even remember the reason why I took a day off. Although if you're watching this in the future, or in the near future, I took a day off on Wednesday, didn't expect to have time to stream today, but then somehow managed to. I planned on not streaming this week, to be honest. But let's jump right back into it. For now, I can't laze around. Got to attend to things that matter more. Okay, that sums up why I was not going to stream this week right there in one sentence. Well, it's been fun streaming. See you guys next week. I'm kidding. Professor Clark first. Deliver the bad news. Then the issue with BRC and Isabella. Maybe I'll also drop by Zach's, check on him, hear what he has to say. He has also read that damn letter. Might as well, while I'm here, playing a paranormal detective. Or was it a supernatural? I can't remember. Technically, I would assume both are correct in this instance. Whatever. It wouldn't hurt anyone if I tried to get to the bottom of this. If nothing comes out of this, good. Everyone can shut up about my stupid curses. Sorry, shut up about stupid curses, and we can finally get back on track with our lives. On to more important stuff. If there is something.
Are you two done?
There's a moment of confusion when I don't see a familiar ponytail about, only to find her standing behind the door to her apartment seconds later. Isabella holds it open, though only slightly, as if to hide from anyone who might happen to pass by. This early, and on a lazy weekend, I doubt anyone would. But from the gap, and what little light there is behind her, I could make out the appearance of someone who has just clearly gotten out from bed. Hair in a complete disarray, eyes still heavy with sleep, small pout on her lips. She hasn't even gotten out of her pajamas. I look away long before my sense of decorum kicks in. We might be friends. I'll even dare say we've grown closer over the years. That doesn't extend beyond the bounds of propriety. Christ, even Rebecca never greets early visitors in her sleep clothes. Though maybe it's our fault she's waking up this early. Yeah, you kind of just argued in front of her apartment. She has a tendency to leave the window open, too. Still, heat makes a slow crawl up my neck, one that I quickly downplay with a solid cough.
Isabella, you're up early.
Lame.
No, I'm not. I'm usually up at this hour. You're the one that usually sucks at getting up early.
Says the person who looks like she's just fallen out of bed.
Nailed it. Instead of the usual clip, she simply averts her gaze to some point beside her, and although it only flashes briefly across her face, an expression of hurt flickers in her eyes. It disappears the second she turns her attention back to me. That moment has set a worried twinge in my stomach. I've seen it on her plenty of times before, just never in a manner that unsettles. It feels, I don't know, off this time. I didn't say anything wrong, did I?
Hey, are you...
Anyway, was that Becca with you?
No shit.
You both sound like Mama and Papa when they fight. You're awfully loud. If we get another memo from the landlady, I'm asking the guard to ban you from ever entering this place.
Me? Becca's the one almost shouting.
Yeah, I'll give her that much.
Yeah, well, she lives here. You don't. You have no excuse. You're the suspicious-looking person.
Thanks. Glad at least one person appreciates how I pretty up this place.
Don't flatter yourself. This place would be so much better without having to see your face every few days.
She follows it up with another pout. But her ruffled appearance, particularly how puffy her eyes are, I noticed just now, takes away from the intimidating affection. Okay. I couldn't tell where they were going with that sentence for a second there. Really, right now she looks more like an angry puppy. I might have laughed had it not given me another nagging sense of something is definitely wrong with her. What, has she been crying earlier? That is worrying. I have a feeling like her dad... We haven't addressed this in a while, but I think her dad might have hit some more complications. I don't think the dad's going to make it. If he hasn't already passed. She rarely does that. The only time it happened, the one time I've ever seen her genuinely tear up over something, I think it was after Devlin Court, the night at the bridge. I want to ask. She seems determined to keep it to herself,
Belle,
though.
did something...
About yesterday, Ash. The things we talked about. Do you think...
You mean at Zach's?
Do you think we can take a look at it today?
We? I never said you're coming with me. Don't worry, I didn't forget about it. You'll be the first to know if I find anything.
Alright.
No, I want to go with you. I'll be ready in a few. This won't take long.
We're at the day after the party, right? Alright, we're right up here. So we're on the 29th. Tomorrow is the day that I'm the most interested about, because that's where all the chaos seems to be going to a full head.
Isabella, you really don't have to. I can handle it on my own. You'll just...
I won't get in the way, I promise. Besides, maybe I can help. You know, if there are files you want to check.
She's a fast reader. I don't like what she's implying. It's true, LPD's having a hard time with this. Taking Isabella with me is out of the question. Under normal
You're
circumstances...
the one who's going to get in trouble if you do that.
You said it yourself. You need information, and I can help you get that. And it's not like it matters anymore. I just don't want to stand around doing nothing today.
That is a good point. There it is again. Slight shift in her eyes, the mild crease forming between her eyebrows, and the mild slump in her shoulders while she crosses her arms tightly around herself. She is lost and confused. Like she's shielding herself from whatever painful thing there is out there. I have plenty of reasons why I shouldn't let her tag along. Tag along? Words. First and foremost, she's a civilian. Second, I have no concrete plan of action yet. Third, I'm going into this blind. That makes two of us. No matter how I look at it, it's simply better for her to just wait so she won't get dragged into whatever might be another one of my failures. Actually, now that I really stop to think about it, I'm really thinking that there's only one ghost, because if we look throughout the journal, every one of these incidents where there's someone that's fighting the ghost, we more or less know where everyone else is, or have an assumption. We haven't seen any evidence of like two things happening simultaneously where both experienced ghostly things. They all did, but it was at varying times of the day. Her assumptions might be a dead end for all we know. Seeing that expression on her, hearing her speak those words out loud, in a desperate, almost pleading tone, I can't bring myself to say no. When are we going to address the preacher? Because the preacher's kind of suffering a little bit of a thing as well. So I give in. Right there. I see myself in her. The person who doesn't want to stay idle, doesn't want to think of problems haunting him.
All right, 5 minutes.
What? You're timing me?
Well, I can't wait forever. I'm a very busy guy. 4 minutes and 45 seconds, Isabella.
Oh, he already started the clock.
I hate you so much. I'm taking back what I said last week. You haven't changed at all.
4 minutes and 30 seconds, 29, 28. I'd hurry if I were
27, 26,
Ugh, you're
25,
awful.
24,
I hope you never get a girlfriend.
23, 22, 21. She slams the door right after. Although my chuckles, the mirth and lightness in it linger. With her, those have always come easy somehow. Even as its echoes fade, only the ghost of a smile remains.
It's not like I'm looking for anyone else.
I want to tell her. It's not because I can't. I won't. I'm the one who has chosen not to. Until I've fixed myself. Until I've found myself. Underneath all that guilt and those lies I've been telling all these years. Because no matter how heavy the weight of these feelings are, I am not yet worthy of them. Oh, there's what her pajamas look like. Too bad we didn't get a CG of that. But we get this little illustration, so I'm content. Disturbed by the ruckus outside her unit, Isabella reprimanded Ashton for the noise. The latter noted her disheveled appearance and puffy eyes. Before he could ask about it, she brought up the issue with BRC again and insisted they both look into it. That night. Yeah, I still don't know what time it is. Of her. Until then, little words and gestures are the only things I can offer. Minor stuff such as digging deeper into this thing with BRC in order to cease her worries, or ease her worries. I'm not even sure this will give us anything. Unlike with the firm case, which I already have proper leads on, I'm just going by her word on this. Speaking of the Luxburn firm case, I still have to inform the professor. The apprehension's there for sure. I've made a lot of promises to the man, and I would have preferred to tell him in person, not over the phone. But it's better for him to hear it from me rather than from a stranger. The railings offer steady support while I wait for him to answer. I'd like to think I can do this without losing my nerve. My grip on the bars surely tightens. Once the call connects.
Not running today, Professor?
He's usually at the park late Saturday mornings, as long as it isn't raining cats and dogs. Keeps him young and healthy, he says. And he's certainly fit for a man at his age with a sedentary job.
Oh, no, not today.
He's definitely at the usual place, though. He's getting donuts. Cheers and laughter, like from children and families, filter through the receiver. I tend to avoid the park precisely because of this. No use reminding myself of the could-haves when it's already over. Mom's doing well with her career, Dad's also fine last time I visited, although neither remarried. and they're both content with their lives as is. I know how that is. My parents have only started recently dating again, and it's been... Let's see, they got separated in 2005, I think? So yeah, that's a long time before they started seeing other people. Well, Mom has started seeing other people. Dad only started to do so, I think, in the last year or so. But they're both seeing people now, which is good for them. I don't buy into all that TV propaganda nonsense about parents getting back together. I don't think it's natural. If parents want to separate, they should separate. If they want to think through their problems and get back together, that's their prerogative. Man, this is getting deeper than I intended it to be. I'm getting sidetracked. Mom's doing well with her career. Dad's also fine. Okay. I'm probably the only one still caught up with it. Hence my aversion. But all in all, it's a pleasant sight to see. If you're the kind who takes joy in such sights like Professor Clark does.
Just thought I'd enjoy the nice weather before it takes a turn for the norm again.
Is the weather in England usually bad? That's one of those things that I don't really take a lot of note of when I'm examining other cultures, is I don't really take a lot of what their weather is into consideration. I know that the Mediterranean climate is one of those climates that's unique to like two locations, being the Mediterranean and like here in California where I live. But I never really stopped to think about what other weather like is for other places. Tropical climates, etc., etc. I don't know what kind of climate the UK area has.
To what do I owe the pleasure?
But considering in film and stuff, they always portray it as like foggy and whatnot. I guess it's usually murky and overcast very often. Is that what they're implying? The guy certainly seems happy right now. In any case, I almost don't want to break the news to him. It's better to get this off as quick. Just rip it off fast like a band-aid. As long as he doesn't shoot the messenger. He's not the type, however. Long-held resentment can change a person. Even someone as mild-mannered as the professor.
I was hoping to talk to you about the case.
I suppose I'm just the downer today. As soon as I say those words, he pauses and the lightness in his voice is gone in an instant. Every time we talked about this in the past, he does that. He's probably trying to gauge the situation based on the tone of my voice. Perhaps it's a good thing I'm delivering this news through the phone. Who knows what he'll see in my face and my mannerisms. The art of keen observation. I learned it from the man. He's a sociology professor, right? That sounds like it's in his wheelhouse. He probably already has an idea of what this might be about, from the manner of speaking alone.
You aren't in trouble, are you?
For a second I hesitate, looking at the dirt beneath my shoes. But I manage eventually. After a long, ragged draw of breath, I pick up where I left off, though still fumbling with my words.
Well, I'm in a bit of trouble, if you can call it that.
Ashton.
He only assumes that tone when we're reprimanded at the heels. When there's a reprimand at its heels.
But I'm not in danger or anything.
You've said that same excuse a million times before, Detective Inspector.
Detective Inspector. I feel this is like a redundant title.
That exhausted rasp in your voice tells a different story.
Damn, he's getting into specifics. He's good.
It's nothing like what you're thinking. Don't worry. I was taken off the Luxborn firm case.
I expect anger, frustration, maybe even disappointment. Well, it's not like the case is being shoved back into cold files. It's being put in the hands of other detectives. You could tell him that. You could just say I specifically have been taken off it. But all he gives is a small sigh of relief.
Is that so? Well, at least you aren't in danger. Liz wouldn't be too happy if she heard you right now.
Liz. Aunt Liz. She insisted I call her his late wife. A sweet-tempered woman, by so many standards. They were never blessed with kids and contented herself with simply managing their bakery. She's the closest I had to a mom in the few years I'd known her. The professor, too. In the absence of my own parents in life. The two filled the ache the divorce left in me. Do I have someone like that in my life? I don't really think so. because I ended up visiting my dad on the weekends during the divorce, so both of them were very much in my life during the divorce. And also, I was like 12, 13 when the divorce happened. So, for the most part, I was already an adult.
Believe me, you'd get an earful. You don't want to show up on her doorstep looking like you haven't slept a wink either.
Man, I've never heard of people talking about their late significant others like this. How many years has it been since? 9? 10? I can still remember it vividly. 2 men, prim-dressed, briefcases in hand, and a stern look on each other's faces. They were already frequent visitors to the bakery for a few months, something about the lot being prime property in downtown Luxburg. I think they were hoping to settle a deal with them, but neither the couple gave in to the demands. Why should they? That quaint little shop was a dream for them. Aunt Liz sent me home early that night after a fruitless wait for the professor. Next morning, news of the bakery razed to the ground had spread across the whole city. 1 casualty. Ugh, arson, great. A few weeks later, the property was sold to the Wright Enterprise. A fucking hotel now stands in its place. Oof. I don't know if I would blame the Wrights for that. That seems shady. Definitely the people at the top have nothing to do with that. That's probably some low-level flunky hoping to get a promotion by settling the deal, and then probably paying some offshoot character to settle it. That's how it plays out in my head. It's probably not what happened, but that's how I would think of it. Of course, an investigation was launched after the incident. The name Luke Wright was briefly at the center of it, but with the lack of any evidence, the case ultimately went cold. The professor hides it well. However, I can tell that he hates that man to this day. He might even blame Luke Wright for every tragedy that happens in this city. He has never blamed me, though, and I am as equally responsible. I knew something's off the moment those men stepped inside the shop. I could have saved her that night. I could have prevented anything from happening to her. Called for help or whatever. I didn't. So it continues to eat at me this day. The guilt. The Luxburn firm case would have been our chance at reopening that old case if we could prove Luke right of his crimes. Instead, we're back to square one. Yet all he has for me are words of comfort, to think he can still be this concerned about me, after my carelessness, after I've broken another promise, a second time. People never cease to amaze me.
You might think that you have failed as an officer. Or maybe you think that you have failed me.
Dang, he's psychic too.
And you know more than anyone. I would love to see that man taken down. If anyone deserves to be tried in high court, it's him.
I don't really think so. He doesn't strike me as a guy that's that hostile. Although after seeing some of the people at that party, someone in that party is probably responsible.
But I'm glad nothing's happened to you while you were working on this. That's what's most important. I'd hate to get news like that again.
Butler is super sus. And I like him too because he's funny. He suddenly stops. I imagine a thoughtful look flashing in his eyes as he thumbs the wedding band on his ring finger before he continues. Another habit. He has never removed it since that day. Has never thought of once to remarry, even when he managed to continue with his life and return to some semblance of normalcy. It's his way of honoring her. I suppose when he couldn't bring justice, the man responsible for his loss. Some people are just hard to forget.
It's not like another death. Yours or even his will bring back my wife.
Silence has fallen between us afterwards. I don't quite know what to say after that, really. I should probably lock my chair so it doesn't fall over. Should I apologize? Show some sympathy? Going into this, I should have thought something other than just breaking the news to him. Okay. As it is, It seems the only thing we can do is feel sorry for each other's
I
misfortunes.
apologize too for putting you up to this.
Maybe you could ask if you could reopen that other cold case instead and just not work. Never mind. This is a matter of state resources, and I'm trying to associate how we do things here in the States with how they do things over in England. I have no clue how their police detective inspector agency thingy works, or how they apply cold cases, or how they're funded, etc., etc. In another occasion, under different circumstances, I might have accepted that, but
You didn't have to, but you've already done more than any officer who has investigated this. So don't worry about this, old man. I know your department's people all have their hands full recently too. What with the upsetting news we've been getting as of late. Deaths almost every day. I'm not entirely sure if that has anything to do with the other. It seems too big even for someone like him. But if this is that man's doing...
it's not. This is a curse. This is probably... Oh, I think Isabella's boss might be the bad guy. He seems like a perfect guy, because it's a real estate company, and he's axing off the people that are finding out his shady business dealings. About how he's giving properties on the cheap to big corporations. Oh, I think I may have just cracked it. Thank you, Professor Clark. You both busted this case wide open that I'm no longer allowed to investigate.
Professor, please.
Maybe if things around me hadn't started going beyond my control, the letter, the mansion, the supposed curse behind those, I'd still be quick to blame it all on the bastard too. But as much as I want to keep holding him responsible for it, to add another to his list of sins, it might not have been the case. Agreeing will only cut a deeper wound on the professor. I don't want him to keep clinging to this resentment much longer. He has already gone through so many years of it. This kind of anger, it's the sort that blinds people, despite its reassurances. I ate too much cake and just threw up in my mouth. It's the sort that blinds people. Despite his reassurances, the bitterness still seeps into every syllable he utters. It's one thing for me to act like this. It's painful to watch someone I've considered a second father to go down this path.
Please don't apologize. It's really all right. I can try to get it back on Monday when I meet with the chief. No promises, but if not, I'll make sure to keep an ear out for any news. Chief said he's passing it on to a senior officer. I should be able to catch a few tidbits every once in a while. But I swear I won't just give up on this. I'll do everything in my power to get Aunt Liz's case reopened for you.
Yeah, you should be happy they didn't just close the case. They're just putting it in the hands of other officers. Promises. Again, a bad habit at this point. I wish I could do more for him. All this time I've prided myself over being the one to always know. Because suddenly, aside from the right and the murders plaguing the city, I have ghosts and curses to worry about, things that are completely out of my depth. Or out of mine too. I don't normally play horror games. Or read them, for that matter. Professor Clark's right in some way. Things would be so much easier if we blamed Luke Wright for all of this. At least finding evidence would be a breeze. I'd be all too happy to put him in a place he belongs. Although if he was in any way so complicit to what's happening, legalities have my hands tied. But maybe that's my fault. I might have missed the ticket to closing this case once and for all last night. If only I had done a better job during the party. But then the commotion. There was Hannah Wright and Rebecca distracting me from my purpose too. I'd include that gate crasher as well. Even though it's only for a moment. So many things have gone wrong last night that...
This isn't a prank! I saw something!
Oh my god, he's finally putting two and two together.
See? This is why I didn't want to tell you guys. It's not a joke. Will you guys listen to me first? I saw something in the house earlier. It stood right in front of me. If I hadn't gotten away, that thing might have...
Last night at the party.
But it's real! What do you think I saw? It happened after, when I was trying to get away. I almost got stuck in the same room with that thing. We're all in danger. I thought you were my friends. Why don't you believe me?
You know, I feel like there might be something wrong with my capture, because I'm looking at it on one screen, and then I'm looking at it in the OBS, and it is a lot more red on the OBS. That woman.
Why don't we all calm down first? I'm sure Isabella has her reasons too. No need to be hard on her.
Reset. If that was what Isabella had been warning us about, if it was the same thing Rebecca talked about last night, how many of these instances have I dismissed since reading this letter? How many have I ignored and passed off as some effect of fatigue or lack of sleep? Even last night, a hallucinogen lacing the food is the first thing I considered, purely because it's what my training dictates. It's a mindset I've grown used to. It's the setting of gears in my head automatically taking these. Yeah, and in your own thought process, you dismissed the fact that, nah, he wouldn't be lacing heroin or LSD in his punch. He's not crazy. You're crazy for thinking that. Of course, I'm not discounting all of that yet until I have enough information, something to form a conclusion from. Proof in whatever it may come. But thinking straight is impossible when all of a sudden all your beliefs are being upturned in the most violent way possible at that. Jesus, I need this sounding board. I need to talk to someone, and Zach's the best person for that.
I have to go, Professor.
Oh, no problem. But what are you...
I don't have time to stop and listen to what the professor has to say as I cut the call short. In the same second, Isabella emerges from her apartment, fully dressed and ready for the day. As usual, she greets me with a smile, but falls just as fast once she catches a glimpse of my face. Shame, that would have been the first comforting thing I see today. While waiting for Isabella, Ashton called the professor, Andrew Clark, to inform him of the dismissal from the Luckburn firm case. While Andrew assured him that it was fine, the detective promised to keep an eye on the case. However, a realization cut the conversation short. He realized the ghost is real. Finally, we get the brains to start thinking how to solve this nut. Crack this nut. Why did I jump to nut? Is it because November just ended? Maybe that's why. It annoys me that I'm partially responsible for the worried one replacing it. I must look close to a picture of someone choking or dying because there's nothing but concern in the first words she speaks.
Ash, do you need to go to the bathroom?
Why is that the first thing she says?
Yeah, no, I don't, okay? But we should hurry. Come on, don't forget to lock your door.
She does do that.
Seriously, you look like you're about to fall over.
He doesn't sleep much.
Are you alright? Because if you're planning to faint right here, I won't be able to carry you.
Oh, that reminds me, we never really looked at Ashton's profile. He's 5'5". Wow, I'm taller than him. Detective Inspector, American Japanese, Christian, non-practicing, bachelor's degree, blah, 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 blah. He's older than me and shorter than me. And Isabella is 5'2". You could probably carry him. I would totally think that he's light enough for a woman of your small stature to carry. I can carry my brother, who's like 2 inches taller than me. And I don't exactly lift. I can barely lift. It's all about lower body strength and lifting with your legs and not your back.
Yes, don't mind me. I just remembered some stuff from last night. I need to talk to Z-Man about this. Mind if we drop by his place first?
Shouldn't we call him to let him know? It's still pretty early, though we'd probably arrive there around noon. Also, what do you mean about this? Is Zach?
He was also there when I opened the letter, right? He read it too. I'm sure he's fine, but it wouldn't hurt to check on him. To make sure. See if he'll say the same things you told me yesterday.
If he's also been seeing things, if it's also the same woman I saw last
I'm not
night.
saying there's really a curse yet, but we have to look at this from every possible angle.
He did, actually. When did he, though? No. 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 Okay, it was Wednesday. It's like a couple days ago. So literally the day after you talked to him. I'm not saying there's really a curse yet, but we should have to look at this from every
And
possible
don't worry, he won't mind. He's probably just watching TV right now. Let's go.
Okay, but speak up if you're not feeling well. You really look like you're choking on something. You didn't have to do this for me in the first place.
He's being strangled by the ghost right now, but he's dismissing it so badly that he actually doesn't notice.
You know it's not as simple as that.
We head down to my car in record time. Not a single second wasted to hit the road on the drive to Zach's place. Any one of us, other than Isabella, who knows anything about what's going on, who can help us sort out the muddled mess my mind is, it's gotta be him. He listened to her. Zach's the kind who prefers to laze around his apartment on a weekend, especially after having a busy week like this last one. Big guy's nowhere in sight, though, when I arrive at his unit. Figures. People don't seem to be where they should be when you need them. We're on the 30th, correct? Where is it? Sorry, no, we're on the 29th. He's at the park right now. Looking around, I find no sign where he might have gone to. He usually leaves a note on his fridge if he's out for the day, just in case someone drops by. And as there isn't one, he probably just went out for a quick walk. I hope. Maybe he ran out of eggs or something, went out to buy some. He is out of eggs after all. You would know that. He puts my running mind to rest for a while. He always has to have some. Be it for an omelet or for something he's baking.
Ash, should you be rummaging around? It's bad enough we went in here without asking for his permission.
Chill, I'm just looking.
Actually, I could also go for a fucking pie right now. But Zach's fridge is next to empty, save for a few leftovers. All I can do is sigh and close it behind
If you
me.
see me take anything, feel free to call the police.
Isabella's quick to shoot me a sharp glare, and another chuckle slips from me, despite the unease in my stomach. But the cheer only lasts a mere few seconds, mostly because she hasn't been in the mood for any sort of friendly banter. Yeah, she's in serious mode. I gotta solve this weird murder mystery mode. I just skipped something. It's the silence that's telling. And a quiet Isabella, it's usually the first recipe for an incoming shitstorm.
Do you always do this whenever you visit another person's house? Because I have a lot of questions about your methods.
Okay, never mind.
Just with Zach.
I'm still worried about our friend, of course, and despite what's bothering Isabella, she's anxious too. She's been standing by the doorway for a few good minutes now since we've entered Zach's place. In fact, she doesn't seem to know what to do with herself. But much as I want to put her at ease, her nervous tics are starting to get to me. The manner of which she makes herself smaller, the way she fidgets with her hands, clasping them one moment and unfurling them the next. See, I have a free hand during the stream, because one is just on my mouse. So I don't really know what to do with this hand. So I'll gesture, make a little every now and then, pick my nose. Just the usual stuff I do with my free hand. I'm not ambidextrous. I'm right-handed, so right hand on my mouse. But you don't really know... You ever be one of those people in a conversation where you don't really know what to do with your hands? I've already done this bit. I've already done this bit, actually. I never know what to do with my hands. Never know. I need to make my hand an emote now. Do the Kazuma. The Kazuma steel. Okay, back to the reading. Let's read. It's distancing enough that I want to ask what's wrong. I doubt she'll give me a straight answer, though. The best I can do is help her temper it.
You don't have to hang around the door. We might be here for a while. You can sit down.
She hesitates for a second, but eventually takes the empty seat in Zach's study table.
Aren't we going to look for him?
We could call him, like you suggested earlier, would be my bet.
Sure, we can, but where are we going to start? I can think of a few places he might be, but Luxburn's a big city. I don't want to miss the big guy if we leave, and...
I trail off, making a vague gesture in the general direction of Zach's bed. The messy bed suggests, there's his phone. He was in a hurry. He didn't even bother to fold the sheets. His cell phone's been left behind as well. Another odd thing when he has made it a habit to never leave it behind in case of client calls.
At least the locked door points to the fact that it wasn't a forced exit.
That seems to reassure her, but not so much. Understandable. Anything might happen. London Bridge is falling down, falling down, falling down. This is what Zach is dealing with right about now. In hindsight, I shouldn't have left Rebecca alone. Either we'll have to check on her later on. I'm not going to keep doing this. But that was a clippable moment if there ever was one. In the meantime... Rip VOD. Yeah, they're going to mute that entire section. In the meantime, Zach, but with no other clue where he is and no other way to contact him, we have no choice but to wait. Sure, I could give the room another run-through, but I don't think Zach would appreciate me upending the place. Isabella won't let me do that. Besides, I haven't eaten anything yet, and Isabella probably hasn't too. We did leave in a hurry. Might as well take a chance to cool down a bit, right? Anything to distract myself so I don't charge head first because of whatever paranoid scheme that comes to mind. Isabella is with me. I can't be reckless. Yang's original flavor. Returning to the kitchen, first thing I see is a bag of chips that I rifle through his cupboards. After muttering a permission and apology if its owner won't hear, I grab it. Isabella doesn't miss shooting me another glare, but she doesn't really make an effort to stop me this time. She ignores my offer of the food, though. So instead, I set myself on Zach's old couch and turn on television. Isabella's silence may not be too heavy, but it sure as hell is awkward. Wait, did we see this scene when he gets home? Upon returning to his apartment, Zachary was greeted by Ashton. Isabella announced suspicious of what's happening. Ashton informed Zach that he and Isabella will try to get to the bottom of this. He also warned Zach to be careful. Okay, so we did see what this scene leads to. Some awful noontime drama is airing on Channel 9. Nothing like sitting in front of the TV with a mindless drone running in the background to waste away the time. And waste it away we do. Well, so much for doing something productive today. The afternoon has hit us in the last few hours when the moment comes from the other side of the door when Zach's heavy treads break the monotonous dribble from the TV. The lock clicks, the knob turns, and slowly it swings open to reveal a very exhausted-looking Zach. What, did he run a marathon?
Sup, Z-Man?
Hey, Zach. Sorry we just barged in here. Ash was...
Relax. Z-Man gave me a copy of the key himself.
Light as my tone may be, his arrival eases the restless edge in me. Who knows what I would have done if something bad had happened to one of my friends. If another minute had gone by without him showing up, I might have resorted to unconventional methods.
Only after you broke the 13th one? I can't keep replacing them every time you think it'd be a good idea to break into my apartment. And stop calling me Z-Man!
I don't know why he doesn't like the nickname. I mean, I'd be cool if people started calling me D-Man. Because it sounds like the man. Get it? D-Man. I'm D-Man.
I didn't break anything this time.
Ash, just because I gave you a key doesn't mean you can just stroll in here whenever you want to. And hey, is that my...
It's scary how the friendly banter and easy smile come naturally. I do it even without thinking, and that speaks volumes about how comfortable I am around him. It's nice, isn't it? What makes me afraid of it, however, is the idea that the time might come where I might just do these without even meaning to and offend him in some way. The friendship we have might be closer than most I've shared with others, but there are boundaries you can't cross without the other's permission. Yeah, like breaking people's locks, for instance, is just an example off the top of my head. Zach's been respectful of that so far, either asking about my parents or what happened to them. Me? I bet he'd say not so much. It's also an easy banter that makes me wish I could just stay like this. No worries, no problems, just potato chips and a debate on whether or not I deserve them. But as usual, something always cuts the moments like this short. Oh yeah, the news is going to turn to everyone at BRC is dead.
Of course he eats all of it. You know, I was saving that for the weekend.
It is the weekend.
Did you at least share some with Bella?
Don't worry about it. I'm good, Zach.
Really? It's free food, you know?
Is stealing technically free food? I feel like there's a debate to be had there.
What was that you usually say? You don't say no to free food? What happened?
No, I'm just not hungry.
Although her turn forces him to do a double take, Zach doesn't push it. The question's all too clear in his eyes when he glances my way, though. I really wish I could answer him. Despite my best efforts, Isabella's been unforthcoming as well. What am I supposed to do? I can't just force her to speak, can I? She's not a criminal to be interrogated. She's a friend, for Pete's sake. It's a good thing Zach has a better handle on the situation than I. Soon enough, he changes the subject. Where it leads to isn't necessarily a better topic, however.
Aye. But if you want something, just say so. I've got a fully restocked pantry right here at your disposal. Still not a 5-star level thing, but for an empty stomach, it'd do.
We just rifled through all your cupboards. You don't have anything.
Just say the word.
Thanks, Zach. Maybe next time. Food is not really what we came here for. Ash, he's the one who...
As she stumbles into one of her uncertain silences again before glancing my way, there's a plea in there for me to take the lead on this, but where do we start? The mansion, the strange things we've been seeing, the letter. Even I'm afraid what he might say. Can't even believe I'm considering taking a deeper look into this whole thing in the first place, but here I am.
Please don't tell me something happened again.
No, nothing. None so far. And we're keeping it that way as much as possible.
Ash, it's not that easy. This isn't some...
We don't know that. Let me...
Sometimes I amaze myself how much I try for her. But what else can I offer her? I was the first one who brushed her off. We've all been given our warnings that day, in that desperate pleading tone of hers. I just stood there judging her. This is the least I can do. Perhaps even make up for all those other times I've hurt her.
Let me look at this first, okay? I agreed to help, but you've got to let me handle things from now on.
I already told you everything.
There must be something we're not seeing in this just yet. We'll sort this out, but no more silly ideas and running around on your own. You're making people worry more than necessary. Becca, especially.
So everything's fine?
Depends on who you're asking. How are things with you? Anything odd?
Good, I guess. Admittedly, how things went down at the housewarming party last night threw me off a bit.
I'm not asking about that. Remember the letter thing Isabella's been yapping on about? I'm asking about that kind of odd.
No, see some children singing London Bridge is falling down. The nightmares have been getting worse. There was this photo thing. Did that happen yet? Yeah, that happened. As expected, Zach starts to look at me like I've grown a second head. Yeah, I would do that too if there was ever a universe where I was standing in front of myself. But even as a child, I never believed in ghost stories. Lucky charms, mystical objects from my mother have often been stored away or given as paltry gifts to those who would appreciate them more.
Well, the dreams, they're a lot worse than usual. There's a woman now, ever since we saw that letter. I don't know if it's the same one Isabella talked about. Maybe it is, maybe it ain't. I really don't want to go back to sleep sometimes. Last night was the worst.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to go to sleep either. I get night terrors. It's one of the reasons I usually stay away from horror nonsense. You can be assured that if stuff makes me shit the bed, odds are I don't enjoy it.
Anyway, why are you asking about this?
Rose's death isn't just a coincidence, Zach. It may have something to do with... I
don't think there was anything we could do to save Rose, as much as I would like to think there was.
Wait. Stop right there for a sec, Bella.
Rest in peace, Rose.
I thought you ain't buying this stuff, Ash. Just the other day, you said the exact same thing.
Yeah, it was like 2 days ago. Granted, I haven't eliminated every single possibility here yet, but what else is there to go off of from here? The worried look Zach shoots my way doesn't help one bit in helping me gather my thoughts either, when that's what I came here for. Somehow, everyone's suddenly just so worried about me. It's not like I'm pulling this out of my ass.
I still don't, but even Rebecca, out of all people, claims there's something. Whatever this is, someone has got to look into it. Everything about this screams shady.
And along with Isabella's warnings, what's occurring around Zach, what's happening around Luxburn since Isabella found the letter.
Have you two seen the news this morning?
Zach's puzzled expression is enough of an answer. Of course he hasn't. Another night, another nightmare. The guy most likely went out as soon as he got out of bed to shake the images off. The memories have never really left him. Isabella, though.
I haven't, actually. Mama called, and I was busy.
Oh, that's right. This happened today. That could easily mean anything. Did Rakuya, her older brother, end up in jail again? She's had to bail him out numerous times in the past, though all that did was piss her off, not sap every ounce of cheer in her. Or is it the other brother, the younger one, who keeps insisting that he'll quit school and she should come home? That was 2 years ago. As far as I know, she already sorted that one out. Couldn't have been her father, right? With the mansion sale, she has earned enough to cover every bill for a while. Should. Doesn't change the fact that his medical condition might not improve despite what medicine can entail. There's a lot of stuff that we have not really put a lot of money or investment towards as a human population towards ending, like heart disease.
No problem. It should be in the afternoon news as well.
Whatever's bugging her, I doubt it's something that meant for casual discretion, else she should have mentioned it sooner. Tucking my curiosity for later, I take the remote and begin cycling through the channels. A distraction, not a good one, I admit, but definitely better than leaving her to brood. Eventually I find one doing a recap of the morning's reports, and there it is. That's right. Man burned after room catches fire, the Anselm Butcher. Poor guy. It is unidentifiable with how badly his body has been burnt. Murder via arson, that's the logical explanation if the officer was looking into it. Except they couldn't find the source of the fire. The fire didn't even spread.
Found dead in the early hours of the morning today. The fire was contained within the room and no other tenants were harmed, according to Luxbourne police.
That's suspicious as hell. they're going to consider spontaneous human combustion soon enough. That happens. I don't know why or how it happens, but it happens. They don't find anything else. What's important for everyone to note is the state of the room.
A similar writing was found in another victim's room from last week's incident. Both were employees of Briar Realty Corporation. LBN has reached out to the...
Like what happened to Cooper. Hell, I wonder how many other deaths like this I've missed while I've been looking into Wright. The LPD is already thinking it's a serial killer at this point. How long until they consult with the London Metropolitan? I'm not sure. The Anselm Butcher has always been an enigma, even to the people within the city. Gone for a few years, then in the next, one body after another is found. Merely handling the case has apparently driven the chief inspector insane years ago. He never did find out who committed those murders. Maybe now this time...
This is because of that thing, isn't it? I did this somehow.
Her words all come out like a whisper, but each syllable lingers in the air, heavy with her guilt. In the thick tension of the room, they strike harsher than any of the things we've said. I bet if I showed the letter to Rose at the beginning of the story, we would have had another. She would have given us another little bit of detail, saying that she probably saw that letter already. That's my guess, and then she may have spread it to the other people whose work she was filling in for. And she probably is someone similar to Ashton, who just dismisses everything. Because people started going missing, apparently, in the mansion before we even got there. However, she also has to know that she isn't the only one on this. No one has asked her to take this upon herself. Rebecca won't. Zach won't. I sure as hell
It ain't
won't.
too late. We could still fix this. There's 3 of us here.
And Zach wanted to get Rebecca involved.
4 if you count Rebecca.
No, she's
Now we're getting into the conversation parts that I remember.
staying away from this.
She's already involved.
I don't want to involve her in this any more than I already have. Both of you as well.
She's already involved.
I already said it. That's completely out of the question. Stop asking.
Encouragement aside, this is still a whole fucking mess. We're in it blind. The only way to make it worse is if I start running around like a bunch of headless chickens. But I have a concrete plan now, I think. Maybe Isabella's right. Maybe we should dig deeper into BRC itself. Maybe we are looking at it the wrong way. However, my suspicions are mine for the moment. The details are something Zach doesn't need to know until I have something I can show. That's enough that I'm aware of, and I've an idea in mind. For his part, Z-Man doesn't push it. Nothing but heavy silence leads our departure hours later. Seriously, Zach would probably make a more responsible officer than me. If he only had the heart to join the force. He could certainly use more kind people like him. But as good as that thought is, I push it all into the back of my mind as Isabella and I head to my car. Tonight, I can't stay distracted. Finally, we're getting into new territory. Uncharted territory. Except for a few half-hearted attempts to get some kind of reaction from Isabella, the drive to BRC is quiet. Awkward affair. There it is, BRC. More so than the hour-long wait for nightfall. Even with only the 2 of us, the place is rife with tense energy. Only a matter of minutes now. But the ticking seconds don't take away the edge. For the 5th time, I reach out and fiddle with the radio, adjusting and turning to the knobs. No real purpose. Okay, where is the ghost? On the 29th, the ghost was in the park. And the ghost was at the mansion. And we saw it at the mansion. wish these were time-stamped. I'm just going to remember that it was in the afternoon. I think this was around the time we just had that conversation with the TV news. Which means we are in uncharted territory and we can run into the ghost. If my theory of her only being able to be in one place at a time stands. It's a nervous quirk I've developed and never bothered to correct during stakeouts. Something to keep my mind occupied during long nights. Can we safely just assume Marianne's dead at this point? What else is there for me to do? The person I usually count on for casual out-of-the-blue chat refuses my attempts at starting one.
Out with it!
Whoa. I feel like that was a longer sentence that they cut short. Because I did not click through that. The way she quickly falters into silence after, in spite of the tone she takes, though. Makes me doubt if she really means everything she's telling me right now. She hasn't even glanced my way since we
Having
arrived.
second thoughts? You can still back out if you want.
We're just going to my office. Why should I?
Dunno. You can get in trouble, maybe. This isn't exactly legal.
What, in private investigation of a firm? Actually, I don't really know a lot about British law. Scope out BRC, see if the real estate company has any more information that may be of help. Find things about Cooper and the other agents assigned to the Ermengarde mansion. According to Isabella, the last property the victims have worked on. Sure, I could also check the station for reports, but that's an easy, semi-legal way. I don't want to bump into the chief right now. The guys at the precinct will definitely throw me out on his orders as soon as they see me. Not that my plan right now is any better. I'm just breaking into a different place, more or less, with a civilian to boot. Oh, we're breaking in. I thought the building was still open, like she had a key or something. The latter still doesn't sit well with me. Never will. Especially if this might put her in a very tricky position afterwards. She's been very careful when it comes to her work. Almost a model employee, as people would say. Why is she throwing caution to the wind now?
I'm not an employee here. I'm not supposed to be looking for any confidential stuff. Only people like you are privy to.
If you mentioned earlier that this is your plan, I might have had enough time to think about it. I already promised to help if you need access to those files. I didn't think you'd want to see them this soon and in this way.
Yeah, I totally didn't think he was going to break in.
Besides, the same goes for you, right?
Makes me wonder if he's
You're
really
taking
a
off your
cop.
case. Won't you get in trouble with your boss?
Honestly, it's a toss-up between breaking into her office or the Wright's mansion. As it stands, we'll have an easier time getting in here first. After all, why would someone want to break into a realty company? Been here many times before, anyway, for casual visits when I wanted to bug Scaredy Cat. Over the years, I have more or less grown familiar with the security setup and how badly staffed they are. Plus, it's an old building. If bankruptcy rumors are true, it just means that their access protocols might be outdated.
Still, I can do this on my own, you know.
Really? And how are you even planning to get into our office without an access card?
I already have
Please
one.
Well, I was going to pry open the card reader and use a gecko.
Is that what they're called?
You're a hopeless case. I really want to know why no one has locked you up yet.
Yet you're helping me with this. Willingly. I don't think that'll sit well with the Philippine embassy either. Chances are you'll probably get deported the minute they find out.
Low blow, I know, but it's worth a shot when she can still turn back. It's not like I don't have any means to get into the place. With or without her, I have a way.
At least I have a reason to be snooping about. My badge and rank can speak for me in case things go south. You?
For a passing second, it seems to work. A hint of panic, hesitation flashes across her features when she looks to me in searching eyes. Then unexpectedly, it dissolves. Not behind her fear, I'm anticipating, but underneath something sharp and searing. Resolve. I'm not sure what she sees exactly or what she's hoping to find in this short, while she holds my gaze. All of it merely goes unspoken, and no longer than a minute later, she simply averts her attention back to the window, training it once again at some point outside.
Isabella, please, now's not the time.
It's too late for that, Ash. Give it a rest.
An appeal, spoken in a voice too harsh coming from her. Perhaps unintentional. Perhaps one that's already too exhausted for everything going on lately. It's hard not to concede when she takes on that tone, and soon, Despite myself, I sigh, tucking away every concern I've been lugging around in favor of trusting her on this, according to her same confidence she has implicitly given me all this time.
Alright, okay, if that's what you want. And don't worry, I didn't mean what I said earlier. I won't let anything happen to you.
Thanks, buddy. I'll be pushing you under the bus first chance I get. Her lips briefly turn into a smile, though none of the cheer reaches her
Just
eyes.
Get this over with, okay? Everyone should be out of the office by now.
Somehow, the uncertainty in her posture makes me wonder if she intended it as some kind of comforting gesture. Whether it's for me or for her. She doesn't let me find out. Without saying another word, she exits the car while I'm left scrambling and chasing after her. She's already at the side entrance, hand raised, card reader beside it. And another poised to push open the door when I catch up to her. Whatever doubt there has been in her face a while ago, it's gone. Seeing her like this makes it easier to believe my worries are unfounded. That things might go smoothly this
And
time.
where do you think you kids are going? It's late. Most offices in this building have already closed up shop for the weekend.
The bloke seems friendly enough, though one can't really tell from his voice alone. He might be the wary sort for all I know. Keeping an unconcerned face, aloof air won't hurt until I figured out how to wiggle us out of the
Just
situation.
come back on Monday if you have important business.
But from the way Isabella's face brightens up, it looks as though getting through won't be too much of a problem. He's probably been working here for a few months already. Maybe around 4 to 6 months max. Otherwise he would have recognized Isabella or me at first glance. I haven't shown my face here since I've been assigned to the firm case a year ago. In the first place, none of their security officers have ever lasted a year in service. The longest was around 7.5? I'll give this guy around that before he gets fired or finds a better paying job for the moment. His too friendly attitude is almost a gift.
Hey, Seb!
Oh, look who we have here. Been a few days since I last saw that ponytail in here, Santiago?
I've already forgotten. It's Santos, right?
Close enough!
Wait, don't tell me yet. I'll get it right this time. Sanchez.
Sanchez. Oh, that's pretty close, actually.
You were closer the first time.
Was he? It's Santos, right? I forgot she has this many names. Maria Isabella Glascruz Santos.
Drat. I swear it is on the tip of my tongue. I just need a hint to remember.
I take it back. This geezer's not going to last this month. He can't even remember a regular employee's name.
Alrighty, I'm sure of it this time. Centillon?
Ooh, that's really close, actually.
Still a few ways off, Seb.
Isabella, we don't have all night.
I know, just let me handle this.
Yeah, man, she's on a roll here.
Sorry, Seb. Some other time. We're in a bit of a hurry. I just need to get a few things from my cubicle. Important work stuff, you know? Is it okay if we drop upstairs for a sec?
Oh, absolutely. No, go right ahead. As long as you have your access card with you, we're good.
Really nice security guard.
Not sure if I'm allowed to let your boyfriend in, though.
Who, me?
My what?
Your boyfriend. The guy with you. Isn't he?
Thank you, Sam. Thank you. It's a fair observation, if I do say so myself. Needless to say, the silence that descends is both uncomfortable and terribly awkward. Although the latter's probably coming mostly from me, because in the next second, Isabella laughs. Lighter than the ones I've heard from her lately. Comforting sound, really, after seeing her in such a dour mood since this morning. Even as it all... That's right, she's able to put on a face very easily. I wish I could do that. Better than I currently am. Even as it all subsides into mere chuckles sooner than I'd like. It's comforting to see that I'm at least partially responsible for it, despite my poor heart being beaten into a sorry pulp.
Oh, no! No. He's definitely not my boyfriend.
She might as well have set it on fire and reduce it to dust while she's at it. Frankly, the number of no's in that sentence alone was a bit too much. How many no's exactly? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 if you count not. Christ, one would have been enough to get the message across. She really did have to put it that way.
That's impossible! Stop being funny, Seb. I'll go on ahead, okay?
She quickly shuffles inside, nothing more than a small wave, leaving behind an even more awkward atmosphere for me to wade through. Would have been bearable if I didn't have to suffer through a stranger's amusement. Alas, woe is me. It's one of my favorite violin pieces, by the way. Woe is me. You can hear Mr. Krabs play it on the world's smallest violin in an episode of SpongeBob.
Not the boyfriend, but close to it, huh?
Mind your own business.
Kids these days. Good to see her up and about, though. Thought for sure she'd up and disappear like the others.
Excuse me?
You know, stuff in the news.
You mean what happened with Rose Cooper?
If I'm going to be stuck here with him for a while, I might as well try to gather as much intel as I can. He may just be a guard, someone with no real authority. Most of the time, people like him are the ones who know more than they often let on.
Yeah, but even before that, we've got a couple of good blokes we never saw again.
Yeah, Rose mentioned that.
Really? Those guys could have just resigned for all you know.
Dunno, I only catch tidbits of stuff from over here. Though seriously, I heard the branch is getting flushed soon, but that's no excuse for anarchy. Figures why Boss Man's been in an awful temper these past months.
They managed to strike a good deal with the mansion in Ansem, right? That didn't do the trick?
Didn't seem like it. The bloke shouting like no tomorrow again. Wasn't very pleased when Gurley called and asked for another leave yesterday afternoon.
Girly? Isabella?
Not too surprising, considering she's already been gone for 3 days. Now she's asking for another. Not that it's a bad thing. It's within her rights as an employee, but Isabella rarely uses her work leaves.
Poor lassie, if you ask me. She found him a buyer for that mansion after all. The least he could do is be considerate to her after a family member's passing.
Oh, he did pass. Ow! Damn. Thanks, Seb. You were so full of information.
Wait, what?
The rumors, BRC, Rose Cooper, missing in action employees, all of the it ceases to matter in that instant. Almost on instinct, my eyes zero in on the intercom speaker as if staring daggers at it. Will show me the man behind the voice so I can see the truth in his face myself.
Oh, you don't know?
No, what?
Nothing. I shouldn't be the one you're asking, and, you know, things might get a bit boring here. No one really wants to hear what a poor old guard wants to say. Why don't you just go after her?
Wow! A really nice security guard. Way too nice to be working as a security guard. Man, you need to be working in some sort of field with customer service. You are built for it.
As long as you're not looking to create trouble for me, it won't be a problem. You aren't here for that, right?
He's lucky I'm not here to hurt anyone. If someone were with ill intentions, he might not be smiling at you.
Well, no, but...
I'll go and unlock that side entrance for you then. Just don't forget to turn off the lights before you both leave, okay?
Hey, wait a second. What do you mean by...
He cuts off the connection before I can finish. And the rest of my question dies in my throat. Soon the latch clicks and the slide door swings open. The Seb, stout man wearing a uniform, still loose for him, waves me over from the gap before he disappears behind his station again. Just my luck. Here I thought I was going to have to count on whatever Isabella brings with her. Although no matter how much I want to feel happy, something else has already taken a firm seat in the forefront of my mind. Is that why she's been acting not like herself today? Yeah, her dad passed away. Ooh. Sometimes I hate being right. Since when? Of course, I step into the building. I try to push all these questions as far down as I can. I need to focus. Work is work. But if what I've heard is exactly what I think it is, it's a sign of things to come. Honestly, I don't feel good about that. It's a quiet ride up to the 7th floor, where BRC Luxburg's main office is. Seb has been kind enough to switch the guest elevator's power on, just as I'm about to head for the fire exit stairs. It is a welcome relief. I'm an active guy, but stairs? I don't want to tire out too quickly in case things get ugly. There probably won't be any trouble with the building at this quiet. But you never know. I swear, the whole place definitely feels eerie at this time of night. I've been in office buildings at night before because I've had gone with my mom when she's like going back and getting stuff in like situations exactly like this back when she used to work in a real estate office of all things back in the early 2000s. And like just this empty cubicles, the dark but dim structures that cast shadows in the dark. It's just creepy and eerie. It's like being alone in the apocalypse. But until I've confirmed anything, those are still just stories. Worse things can happen. No need to scare myself. Staying calm just means fewer
I
mistakes.
sure am fucking gutsy, especially with what I'm doing.
I'm breaking a lot of laws here. I'm also putting Isabella in a lot of risks. Best thing that can come out of this is that Isabella was right all along. Worst case scenario? 1. Someone finds out Isabella's involvement in this, her boss fires her. 2. I find evidence that would implicate BRC or Luke Wright in a crime. And by meddling, if I'm not careful enough, it makes me inadmissible in court. Though I'll be honest, I strongly prefer losing my job or facing Wright over some spirit or ghost or whatever it is. I could always work around problems with the former. Isabella could also find a better job. BRC never did pay her enough properly despite her efforts. Yeah, frickin' Hannah Wright paid you more than your fucking job did for that mansion. But fighting off a phantom? How does one even do that? Do guns even work on them? That is a good question.
Yeah, not going to happen.
Oh wait, is he packing heat? I don't think I've ever addressed this. You see, this is in England, right? And they don't really have good gun laws over there, if I remember correctly. Or should I say, they have good gun laws because they don't have the America problem of everyone and their mother being allowed to run around with a gun, or the ability to get one and use it. That's a topic for another day. But tonight I'm here to fix things. If I do without leaving a trail, all the better. Good thing that's what I'm good at. The easy way in. Achievement unlocked. How does one break into a real estate office? You asked nicely. What I'll probably never be good at is finding the proper words when a sitch calls for it. But seeing Isabella's small form behind those doors, how she pushes through despite carrying an entirely different burden this time, how she's pretending as if everything's normal, it's difficult not to try. People who have never looked beyond their smiles will never know. Will never understand. Hell, even Rebecca's probably not yet aware of this. I get it. We have other problems at hand. I've done the same thing plenty of times to protect myself, after all. But it's all in her eyes once she glances up at the few light raps at the door. She wastes no time in leaving the mess of papers on the table and opening it for me. Though even her confusion as she takes in my presence barely hides it.
Seb, let you in?
The rough edge in her voice rings a whole different tune now that I'm aware why. But knowing it's different from hearing it straight from her, I can't simply bring it up, can I? It's not a topic suited for a casual conversation, and I doubt she wants to talk to me about it. As much as I want to help, there's a distance between us I'll never be able to cross. One that wouldn't even be there if it wasn't for me. Actually, I didn't bring this up, but I think Seb's voice actor might be the same person that does Professor Clark. I'm going to mention that now before I forget. As much as I want to help, there's a distance between us I'll never be able to cross. One that wouldn't even be there if it wasn't for me. Perhaps if I had been more honest years ago and less of a coward, I might have been able to. Figures I couldn't even do that for the one person I keep telling myself I care deeply about.
What can I say? I'm a very charming person.
No, he felt sorry for you because she hasn't told you her dad died yet.
To a rock, maybe.
This is the closest we can get to it, I suppose. The light banter, the fleeting glances, or sometimes the long bouts of silence. And it's enough for me, it is. Because even without words, there's comfort. With her, it's
Must
easy.
be a pretty cool rock then.
Ugh, get over yourself.
Hey now, I deserve some slack here. Today's supposed to be my day off, and yet here I am helping you out.
Helping. By standing at the door.
Well, you're not exactly letting me in.
Despite what she says, she moves to block me when I try to enter. She must have expected this the second we walked to the building's entrance and counted the night shift guard to bar me from this place. She must have the second we walked up to the place and counted on the night shift guard. Ah, we go. It's reassuring to know that she's somehow worried about me, although it's a bit misplaced at the moment. Besides her concerns aside, I really can't let her get into the thick of things without me. Not without all the problems on her plate right now.
Isabella!
Seriously, Ash, Seb might get in trouble for this. You might get in even bigger trouble with your boss.
Uh-oh, what just happened? That sounds like a save moment.
And you're not? We've already talked about this back at Zach's. It's out of the question.
Why did he just scream in the middle of a sentence?
Isabella!
Seriously, Ash, Seb might...
And you're not? We've already talked about this back at Zach's. It's out of the question.
What?
At least do it for Seb, please. He's a really nice guy. With the way things are going here, he's...
On that, I agree with her. Seb's not such a bad fellow. Might be a little careless with his job and talks too much, but he means well. I'd hate to see the guy leave here with a bad record. In case something goes wrong. However, there's an anxious look she shoots back at the table behind her to bring even bigger
Did you find something? Aside from what you told me about yesterday?
Oh, she found the fucking pile of letters, didn't she?
Not yet. I'm not sure. I haven't started going through the files we have in the records room. Just the ones they handed to me in rows.
Let me see.
Wait, Ash!
Isabella, I already promised you that no one's going to get in trouble after we're done here. Even Seb. I'll make sure we leave the place clean.
Her hesitation's still there. Split second of indecision as she tries to form an argument. Eventually, when there's nothing that comes to mind, she steps aside.
But we can't take the original files out of this office, clear? Not even a single sheet. We'll just have to make a copy.
Don't worry, that's the plan.
It appears to reassure her, a nod, then shortly she gestures for me to follow. Passing the sea of cubicles, I can't help but take in everything in the office. Force of habit for the most part. As far as I know, BRC Luxburn used to own this whole building. Offices in several floors, once upon a time, when the real estate is still a lucrative business for the company in this side of the country. Then competition showed up, and suddenly everything's not so good anymore. It only got worse in the years that went by, or so according to the rumors. Now the branch is just this floor, despite what the huge sign on the building's facade says. And frankly, it's not too hard to believe when one looks at the state of this room right now. A number of desks have been cleared out. Personal mementos are scarce. As if the employees have gone on an exodus. That'll be the downsizing, probably. Still worrisome, though. Of course, I shake away all of this when Isabella starts handing me the papers she's been looking through. Focus, Frey. Focus, Frey. There's no point in whining or dwelling on it any longer. That's why we're here in the first place, to find out what the real deal is in the old-fashioned way. Isabella's presence is a whole other blessing, too. I couldn't imagine how long this would have taken if I pushed going in here alone.
Is this everything? Where are the documents you mentioned?
Still locked up in the records room. Do you need them now?
Bring them here. Everything that has to do with the mansion's sale. Even those who worked on it during the renovations.
Woo-wee.
The cleanup. Everything.
Yeah, those people. They mysteriously disappeared, because Rose mentioned that those people never showed up. She had people flake on.
Including your mandatory sign-in sheets.
It's an odd thing to bring up, but at least it elicits a laugh from her before she heads to the records room. She remembers. And no matter how weak the sound of it from her usual ones, it's a welcome thing to hear. It reminds me that Isabella I know is still in there. She returns minutes later from the thick stack of folders and binders. That's a thick stack. A thick stack with 2 C's. For the next half hour, we work in complete silence while we dig into everything compiled in the folders. Not an easy task, considering how thick the whole thing is, but there's 2 of us. In fact, Isabella does most of the work. sorting the contacts, the employee list, and stuff we won't need to do in a neat pile. Just the files for restoration alone make a stack of papers that's an inch thick. Third-party service providers hired for the masonry, radiators, woodworking, plasterwork, slate roofing, and a whole bunch of other things are well documented. Hell, every single contractor who worked on this project were listed individually, even if they were just there to do the plumbing. It's a high profile and high-cost estate, all right. But with that scope comes the loopholes. It means plenty of room to hide something in, even if there is something fishy going on. All I have to do is find a pattern, and it doesn't take long. Upon closer glance, despite the original owners shouldering the renovation costs, it'll be surprising if they've managed to break even on the Ermengarde mansion. With the additional expenses for the open house, the commission for their agents, and the other overhead fees, at one point the negotiations to get listed under PRC's name almost broke down to some disagreement about the listing price. The owners wanted to be rid of it as quickly as possible while keeping the worth at a profitable level. PRC was insisting on a higher amount, double what the appraiser suggested. Double? Man, real estate's always been a shady racket in my opinion. This, plus the rumor that their branch is closing, BRC Luxburn really is in the red, and the sale of the mansion could have easily been a desperate move to keep the branch afloat.
No wonder the final sale happened as fast as it did. Did you know about this?
No, they took it off our hands after I submitted the final documents for the sale. I didn't even know until I read this. I'm not sure if Rose did. I've only been given the key to the records room after she... Anyway, my point is, they've kept all the files from me. Rose was the one who compiled everything from our side. And even then, she was probably not aware of this. There's only so much they let us know. After that, they just told us to wait for our commission, and that the legal team would handle the rest.
Yeah, I think your boss is shady.
The rumors are true, huh?
Seems so.
Sheesh, this place is just unlucky, going bankrupt while the rest of this crap is happening. But this isn't what we're looking for. What we need is the who. People aside from Isabella Cooper involved in this business with the mansion, and how they are now. We can't do much with the outside contractors, they won't be on file. The employee list, on the other hand, even with 2 people working through the pile, the whole task takes quite a while. It's a quarter of an hour later when we put down the papers with a sigh. 15 minutes is not a long time. It's long enough time for me to forget that I need to drink water. Move on to the clients upon Isabella's insistence. For that, the sign-in form, the open house, comes in handy. Something that gives me a laugh is when I spy a fake name I wrote on these sheets. Which one?
Why'd I even pick this name? It sounds so lame.
Ashley.
What name?
Nothing important. Just focus on those papers you have. We need to finish this soon, before Seb suspects anything.
She snatches the paper away before the thought of hiding it occurs to me. Not that there's a secret in it. Isabella found me that afternoon anyway, but still.
Ashley?
Oh, that was him. So that was the one that he signed in as. I've been careless that day, tailing Luke right without confronting him where they were headed off to. While the butler's terribly efficient in keeping the Wrights' engagements from the public eye, there are other ways. If only I'd given him the time of day. In retrospect, I've been too eager, too impatient to find something that'll crack the case and be done with it. Maybe my failure goes as far back as the day of the open house, not during the party last night.
Yeah, well, I was pressed for time.
Seriously? Ashley? Were you even trying?
He was not.
Oh, come on. You didn't even notice I was the one who wrote it down.
Of course I wouldn't. Only an idiot would use his real name.
It worked, though. Admit it. It's genius. Who would have thought, huh?
She responds with a roll of her eyes, then drops the matter entirely by shoving the paper back into my hands. We lapse back to our respective tasks afterwards, wordlessly skimming through everything. Read. Set aside, get another one. Looking back at the sign-in sheet, I spot Luke Wright and Hannah Wright listed up top. It's actually strange, because Marianne doesn't show up on here. Not that I don't know about them already, but scanning through the list, the name immediately comes to my attention.
Madeline Williams.
Something wrong?
Huh? No, just that I remember this girl listed here.
She frowns, moves her seat closer, and takes a careful read of the sheet. There's a long moment before she speaks up again, but from the way she tenses, she appears to be expecting the worst already.
What about her?
She was with me, in the group following Cooper, when we toured the upstairs part of the mansion, I mean. Rather loud one, especially when we took a peek into the attic. Kept talking about the ghost stories the whole tour.
Then, do you? Do you think she's...
She was reported missing 3 days after.
Ooh. There was a ruckus at the precinct the day her family filed it. Threats were naturally given, the lack of progress days later. Desperate ones. It's all coming together. Her family's willing to shell out the cash, all the cash they have, just to find her. To no avail, unfortunately. Officer Benjamin has been in a bad mood ever since he spoke with them. But what can he do? What can we do? He's tied. We're all tied. There's only so much we're able to do, with everything that has been shoved in our hands
She
recently.
still hasn't been found. It's already been a week.
Isabella makes no further comment aside from a nod. Instead, she sits back on her chair with a distant look in her eyes, her hands balling to the fist as she struggles with her frustration. Or maybe it's anger. But the moment doesn't last too long. Soon her grip loosens, and she folds her hands back on her lap. Her expression, however, is one I've seen too many times in the mirror. What does one say to a person burdened by not one loss, but many? Who carries it in her shoulders like a badge of shame? I should just burn that mansion to the ground. Although I'd feel slightly bad about the rich people's stuff that they just put in there. But I would get over it. And who knows, if the place burns to the ground, people might discover that there's a secret murder dungeon in the basement. I've yet to find the answer to that one myself. Until then, the only way is forward. Press on to see where our attempt at fixing our mistakes might lead us. And despite my own doubts, a glimpse of that look on her face is enough reason for me. I can't just give up. There's too much at stake, too much to lose. With a renewed focus, I continue. On the third and last sheet, I spot another one. Beatrice Wilde. One I recall from newspaper obituaries. Died of a heart attack. Letter of correspondence expressing condolences to her family confirms as much in her files. Passed away at the age of 74 in her sleep.
She's at that age. It certainly could have been a natural death.
Right? I'd like to believe so. But 3 more letters turn up when I rummage through the stack. It leaves nothing more than a foreboding feeling in me. They're all addressed to the families of clients who have passed away in the past week. Regardless, these go into a pile of things worth looking into after our visit here, along with the Williams info sheet. There are just so many names, so many faces, each one I've seen that day. And here I am wondering if they're all alright. It isn't selfless thought that brings the question to mind, rather. It's the logic that if more of them are still alive, the more people I can choose to question. Nothing's concrete yet, of course. They're just speculations, but we're making progress. Once done, the sign-in sheets I stash along with the growing pile to my left, and I pull out as many of the other documents Isabella has already prepared for me. We're working through an employee list now, those who have been assigned to their mansion. Because if Isabella was to be believed, if what she's seen and what has happened to Rose Cooper is because of that letter, I need to know everyone who has possibly read it aside from the three of us. They've been noticing strange things too. For all I know, these may have just been a terrible coincidence. But then that doesn't explain the preacher. I don't know when he would have seen the letter. He just had to bless the mansion, which I believe the process is you stand in front of it and you throw holy water at it while giving a sermon for a few minutes. Unless you have to go into every room, in which case then I could believe he saw the letter. Although the thought of that occur starts to diminish as we dig into BRC's company files. 15 minutes later, the stack close to my elbow has risen from 5 to 21 different dossiers. Client and employee documentation, people who have either visited the open house or worked on the property in some capacity since the letter's discovery. Turns out there were 2 more employees who handled the mansion directly aside from Cooper and Isabella. Christian Sy, the realty specialist, and Mark Julius Jean-Marie. Male. The estate appraiser.
This C guy, he was in custody just the other day.
Really? Sir John has been looking for him. He stopped reporting to work a few weeks ago. Are you sure it's the same person?
Yep, this is him. Folks at the precinct said they went to his house after a noise complaint. They found him just acting all crazy. Had to take him in when he started getting violent. He kept screaming about a woman.
Oh boy. Immediately she stiffens. I don't want to bring it up or imply a connection to Isabella's story. That is exactly what
He
happened.
was driving the guards mad, but he didn't last too long in there. A few hours in, and he just started bashing his own head against the wall, and, well...
Hey, that's what happened to, Zach when we pretend that save file doesn't exist.
It was messy, to say the least.
Oh no, we had no idea. Is he okay? HR just marked him as AWOL because none of their calls would get through.
He's in the hospital right now. I heard they're putting him into a psychiatric ward as soon as he recovers. He's still a bit unstable.
Jean-Marie, on the other hand, his employee files note his date of leaving and even when his final payment had been given. That's the guy we saw on the news, actually. Along with it, there's a letter to his family about the appraiser being found dead in the office. Communication is hush-hush, and there's mention of compensation if they don't talk about it to the media. Inspector Abigail has often scolded me for reading the reports on a regular basis, but I try to keep up to date as much as I can. What? Okay. When I do, I make sure I'm aware of the gist of what's going on in my city. This never reached the police's ears or the health and safety executive.
Do you know about this guy?
One glance at her says everything. They've hidden it from the media, kept it from the police. It's not surprising. This will also be a secret from someone of Isabella's position at the company. Fuck.
Rose was looking for him. Last week. We haven't heard anything from him either. Until now. They never mentioned this to us.
Business is going under and someone dies while working here. Of course they want to keep it quiet. It's bad publicity. This whole thing is just getting freakier by the minute. Nevertheless, I hand the files for Isabella to make a
The
copy
pages
of.
with their names, addresses, and contact numbers will do. We'll start with the ones who live within the city.
Sometimes there are things you really can't just brush off as mere coincidence. My line of work, one pattern pops up. It's only right to be suspicious. Ghost or not, these people are being targeted and killed, so that is enough to go to a police with. Especially with the thing with Psy. It hits too close to the stuff my own friends have been telling me.
All of this?
It's considerably thinner than the one she brought in, yet somehow the way she hugs the folders close to herself makes them heavier. Makes them seem heavier. Like she's hanging on to it in the same manner one would latch onto a life.
Only the noteworthy ones.
And those that might still be alive. Might. She doesn't need to know that.
We can't check the outside contractors, but the guys with the direct connection to BRC and the people who attended the open house should be enough. We don't have time to see how everyone's doing, especially if what you said is true.
For a second, she appears about to argue, then quickly decides against it, and hides it away before anyone needs to breathe the question in her face. Then, in a too abrupt motion, she turns towards the copier and gets to work. Soon, only the machine's constant thrum fills air around us, while I keep myself busy cleaning up the mess we've made. The lack of talk is awkward, to put it mildly, disturbing at worst. I've gotten used to letting her just babble away whenever it's the two of us. I could tell, however, she wants to do more. She wants to fix this mess herself, and that desire makes her antsy. At the same time, she's learning how to not be impulsive or stubborn, exactly as I've told her yesterday before agreeing to any of this. Or maybe these so-called changes have always been with her. Dire situations have always pushed the people to change after all. Although seeing this happen in front of me only makes it difficult to find the proper things to say. In an atmosphere this tense and changed, what is there left for us to talk about? Certainly not the news. What's worse is when you only realize all this in hindsight, right after you've already ran your mouth off. New stuff. Ooh, there's still something that we can discover today. To confirm their suspicions, Isabella helped Ashton break into Briar Realty Corporation's Lexburn office tonight. The files they found reveal the real deal with the mansion sale that was unknown to even Isabella and something possibly more terrible. That is a very short summation of what we just went through.
You know, for a house your company seems to be in a hurry to sell, they still made quite a fortune out of it. Look at this. 1, 2, 3... 6. Are you sure they're planning to give your entire share for this? This isn't a small amount, especially given the usual cut. And their accounting department isn't in the greatest shape either.
Even if they don't, it's not like someone still needs it.
And there's what we needed to hear. And there's the reason why people don't let me talk. Silence once again descends through the room, denser compared to the ones we've shared tonight. Behind me, I can still hear her movements, sharp and precise as she feeds the originals into the machine. Then one last click, and it all stops. Her feet shuffle lightly against the floor when she moves away. Something creaks softly, probably the table, as she settles her weight against its side. By this time, an apology is already at the tip of my tongue, but...
Belle,
Papa's gone, Ash.
Within those scant few seconds, everything between us shifts, and the gravity of her words sinks, and my mouse says that we're loading something for some reason. Right then and there, something harsh and immovable rises between us. Death is something I'm familiar with. Almost 10 years in the police force, and it's impossible to not be acquainted with it. But this is different. From those dead bodies we examined in forensics, a far cry from the victims we found in a bad investigation. Those I could easily distance myself from. No emotional attachments, no need for pretenses. Yet somehow I still find myself grasping for things to tell her. Any words of comfort that'll dull the pain. I got nothing. Grieving is hard. I'm still upset about my dog that passed away a few years ago. Don't think about it and move on. Because even without looking at her, her grief feels palpable enough. Her pain an immutable weight hanging over us.
When?
Huh? When what?
Your dad. I mean, when did you find out?
Today, yesterday, a couple days ago. She doesn't answer. Not immediately, anyway. For a long moment, the hush simply stretches out before us, spanning across the seconds we let pass, while we both simply stand there, waiting. Eventually, she exhales. Lightly muted enough that I might have missed it. Had I not been paying attention to her every moment.
Yesterday, around 3 in the afternoon there, Mama called. She told me he passed away in his sleep, and I guess I can take comfort in that, huh? That Papa wasn't in any pain when...
She trails off, releases another ragged breath hidden underneath her chuckles, each one mirthless, heavy, with nothing but sorrow. Then she falters into silence, and for all my attempts at heightening her burden, I am suddenly at a loss. I'm going to raise my mic a bit. Yeah. Reassurances could only do so much when her only reason for staying here has suddenly been taken from her. A hope yanked from under her feet right after it was generously given. And without that, without the one person who pushes her to endure all the shit we're going through, she's going through, means nothing but a struggle. What does one say to a person fraying at the edges, slowly wearing thin and breaking? Are words even enough? What right do I have anyway? I could not give her anything apart from lies that changed me as a person and affections she may not even want for herself. Because no matter how easily she has wormed herself into our lives, how immutable her presence has become, her own heart will always yearn for something else, for home.
Tell me about him.
Huh? About what?
Your dad. Tell me about him. Anything. Just talk. Say anything you want. Doesn't matter what it is.
Oof.
I'll listen.
Silence again, as if she's testing the weight of my question. For what purpose it is. For a reason I can't even say right now. After a while, though, she starts, reluctantly. Her voice hitching, faltering, and stumbling on each syllable she chooses her words. A rough start, but it soon steadies. And along with it, to keep company, the stories from childhood and the memories she's fond of. Shoulder to cry on are the tears. Despite this, in spite of the grief choking her words off, the hurt closing her throat, and the sobs racking her lithe form, she continues, like the mere act of speaking is a relief in itself, a release. She tells me of her father, the very person who named her, how she looked up to him, how she was a bit of a tomboy growing up in her attempts to imitate him, and how the man encouraged her to pursue what she really wanted, perhaps even the only thing she ever did for herself, having grown up not wanting anything more than the food to put on the tables.
He told me I don't have to listen to them. That I can do what I want. Every day, he'd wake up at 4, Ash. Because he'd earn more that way. And every single time, he'd give them to me. Whatever extra he earned, he'd hand them all. So I'd have something to use for my paintings.
Now I'm gonna feel sad.
And you know what? Back home, just a good tube of paint costs almost as much as what we spend for food the whole day.
Your dad loved you, and there's no way I could say anything that'll make that his loss feel any any less significant. I'm struggling to find words. This is sad. This is depressing, and I don't really want to think about it. Grieving is a very difficult process that we all have to go through someday. Unless you're lucky and you die before anyone else in your life does. And it makes me feel weird to say that that's the lucky people.
But he'd always set something aside. Told me he wanted to see my paintings in a museum one day.
She pours all of it out. Every little thing she loved and admired about him. Like this, it's easy to see why she has gone to such great lengths for him. Why she abandoned her dreams. Why she went against his wishes. Just to grant him another chance at life. Others will say it's her warmth that draws people to her. Or her cheer. Neither are wrong, but neither is the whole truth to her. Because those who have never bothered to look beyond the surface will never see it. Never see her. See someone earnest, someone who has always meant well, despite her underlying stubbornness. This is how she loves. Warm, steadfast, unflinching. You never meet many people like her. Not in my line of work. Not with the kind of people I've had to deal with. Always with something to hide. Always with something to lie about. Eventually, when you run across too many of them, you change. You become like them. In many ways, for a lot of reasons. She's the kind of person I want to be and be around with. Who made me feel like I am still worth something.
He didn't want me to leave. Said, begged, that I should finish my studies first.
Man, this conversation we had with Marianne feels all the worse now.
In the end, I couldn't even grant him that one request. I'm a terrible daughter, aren't I?
You gave your all. You tried your best to save the man that gave you everything.
You're not.
Huh?
Oh, he's crying too.
You're not. I can't speak for your dad. I haven't even met the man. But I know you're not.
Moving over here. I'm not entirely sure where I'm going with this. The mark just came out. Now I'm stringing all of these together as I go. But one thing is certain. None of what I'm about to say is a
The
lie.
Isabella I know is a total klutz, but I've never seen anyone work as hard as she does. She's the type who wears her heart on her sleeve, though it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's always in the right place. She's intimidated by a lot of stuff, but she knows how to appreciate the smallest things in life. Frankly, you've caused us no small amount of trouble since you barged into our lives. But when I'm with you, all of my worries seem trivial.
Heat has already crept up my face when this whole thing is about to take registers. Before I blurt the rest out, declare feelings I'm not even ready to reveal to anyone, much less to her, my hand comes up to smother the rest of it. Though embarrassment quickly takes the reins, before I completely clamp my mouth shut.
And I'm pretty sure Zach and Becca think the same way.
Dang. This close.
You have a nasty way of growing on people like that, and you know what? We got everything we needed in here. I'll just wipe the security recordings and we're good to go. While I'm at it, you better wipe the snot off your face. And you don't look very nice when you're balding like that.
I like how her face is full of emotion right now. I think it's safe to put me back over here. Hastily, I gather everything. Personnel files, client documents, sales agreement, and contracts. Anything that hands could reach. In record time, all of it has been stacked in a neat pile ready for storage. I'm heading for the records room. Not a few seconds later. Wherever that is. Should be easy to find unless this place is a maze of some sort. Which I highly doubt. Still beats staying in here and seeing what the look on her face. Crap. Really, her anger's still bearable. I could take that. Including the glower, she sends my way.
So, yeah, I'll go get the security videos and put these back where you pulled them from. Man, these are heavy, you know?
Ash, it's just paper. You don't even know where I...
Oh, no, I can handle this. Easy as pie. And, yeah, security cams, tapes, videos, cams.
Cams. While gathering what they found, Ashton accidentally brought up Isabella's father, who had apparently passed away the day before. Suddenly, her reasons for trying to fix this mess became more clear to him. In his attempt to comfort her, he ended up almost admitting something he's not yet ready to put to words.
Yeah, I'm off.
Her rejection at this point? Maybe. Maybe not yet. It got quiet and the music stopped. That usually means spooky shit. Getting the files back to BRC's archive room is a cinch. With the documents back in their proper places, I locked the door behind me, tugging it twice just to make sure. Now for the next order of business, removing the evidence or a little excursion here. At the very least, the parts showing that we've been doing for the past hour. Can't have our faces plastered on security footage showing us breaking the laws, as it were. I'm going to have to wipe that data for Isabella's access card entries, too. Surprisingly, finding their security room proves to be a breeze. What will be tricky is getting inside. The fact no one walked out during the whole time we've been here means the room is either empty or the security is sound asleep. I am banking for more on the former. If they're cutting corners and firing agents, I doubt that they fired the guy. I have no doubt they fired the guy stationed here. If they have anyone watching the monitors, it's in the first. If they have anyone watching the monitors in the first place, it's a rather common thing for establishments to just leave security recording indefinitely and only check the footage if something actually happens. Just to check, I press my ears against the door, listening for a sign of anyone occupying the room. After a long minute, and nothing, I give the knob a few rattles.
Standard lock and key. Should be easy enough to pick.
We have lockpick sets, but those are only to be used if necessary. And with a search warrant, even then, it's a skill rarely needed. Subtlety is not on a cop's priority if they have the authority to search the premises. Bolt cutters and brute force are the favored methods. If those fail, we call a locksmith. What, no battering ram? I thought battering rams were standard fare. Me, I prefer a good old hairpin trick. When those options aren't available, besides, they're easy to hide and store for emergencies. Running my hand through my hair, I pull a pair of bobby pins. 2 of these and I'll just about open any standard lock. One makes a lever and the other makes a handle. I actually recently learned a thing or two more about lockpicking than I previously knew. I used to do it by feel if I ever had to. But I never really learned the science behind it, or the mechanical applications involved. It's a really complicated process when you think about it. And I love watching videos like by the Locksmith Lawyer. You ever watch his YouTube channel? Highly recommend it. It's very interesting stuff. And I recently watched a video about a guy that made an interesting, what he claims to be unpickable lock, and he says eventually he'll be making a version of it that's more fine-tuned and streamlined so that he can send it to the lockpicking lawyer. And I can't wait to see him crack that thing, because it looks very interesting, because of the methodology used between it. Actually fundamentally makes it seem unlock pickable. I'm sure somebody could, but my methodology would be just, if it's too hard to break, just drill it. But this is about stealth, so bobby pin is the tried and true method right here. Or you could just get digital locks. I wouldn't call it a complex skill. Oh, you know the one I'm talking about then. It's a Stuff Made Daily's lock. I won't call it a complex skill, but it certainly takes time, a lot of practice to successfully pick a lock. Good thing I've practiced with them for a bit of my college years. I've learned more when they're accessible. And standard issue for how Good thing I've practiced with them for a bit in my college years. I learned more when they're accessible and in standard issue for a law enforcement officer. Wriggle here, click there. Manage to seize what little pins they're mocking at. Words. With a slight turn of the knob, the security room's ripe for the picking. Pun intended, I'm assuming. Like I said, spooky shit. Spooky shit. The room's odor hits me first, a sharp nauseating stench as if somebody has accidentally spilled a gallon of bleach in the room. When was the last time they opened this place?
Ugh, this place smells awful. Jesus, it's worse than the forensics lab on a bad day.
There's a dead garden here, isn't there? It's probably because of the badly botched effort to clean the place up. Even in the dark, I can spy dark stains on the walls. I really don't have time to try and play as this ketchup or soda right now. But I have this strange gut feeling who the mess might belong to. As expected, no security personnel mans the office's CCTV controls, and the standalone DVR setup is open for anyone. Why are 4 of the cameras down is what I want to know. Normally I'd have a heap of things to say about this sloppy security setup, but right now their negligence makes the whole task of erasing easier.
No fuss, no muss.
The next one should be the access card data. Hopefully getting into their computer won't be too much of a hassle. Everything up to now has been smooth sailing. There have been hiccups, I'll give it that though. Does nothing dampen the mood I'm in? Once I shift my attention to the machine sitting next to the DVR setup, all of it swiftly evaporates. I am no computer buff, but I can definitely recognize one more than a decade old simply looking at it. Makes me feel younger. With a heavy sigh, I power it up and mentally prepare myself for a slow slug. Slow, apparently, remains as an understatement here. It takes a whole 3 minutes for the thing to start up. The OS hasn't even started loading. In my boredom, I started inspecting the live feeds on the cams. Only 2 works. One for the view outside, and everything seems to be in order. And the other is the main workspace, where a fleeting glimpse of cursory glance, but the sight of it stops me. The image is a bit... Fuck, here comes the music. Oh, did she just move? The image is a bit blurry, but standing there, right in the middle of the room, by one of the cubicles, I can make out the form of a...
What the hell is...
I don't get too far into that line of thought. A few seconds after my words have slipped out, without any sort of warning, while I'm still trying to make sense of what it is, the figure moves. Is it just me, or is the camera getting closer? A moment of paralysis hits me when she stops right in front of the camera, like a damn rookie. I still go in the face of danger. I definitely haven't been trained to handle the supernatural. And this is one, isn't it? And... oh fuck. Her eyes bore into me, the malice in them piercing, even beyond the screen. It's enough to make me go numb. It's enough to make me save the game. Only the mug crashing to the floor and my hand accidentally takes a swipe at it. Snaps me back out of the trance, reminding me that I am not the only one here. Isabella. It seems she hasn't noticed anything. Am I the only one seeing this? In any case, whatever's happening, I have to get her out. Gathering my wits, I quickly reach for my phone. It takes but 2 seconds before she answers. There's no time for relief.
Did you really have to call? We're practically on the same...
Get out of there.
What? What are you...
Out. Get out. I'll meet you in the elevator.
You're creeping me out, Ash.
Just get yourself out of that place, now!
Without a second thought, I back away from the controls, from the room, ready to be done with this place. Before my foot even moves, she disappears. Fuck, that made my heart skip a beat. Instinct instantly takes over. My hand quickly reaches for the gun at my side, only to meet empty air. Mistake that costs me a few precious seconds while the paperwork I've brought with me threatens to scatter everywhere at the same time. Gathering everything in myself once more, with no weapon to protect myself, my sense of self-preservation kicks in next time I lunge towards the door. I sprint across the office without daring to look back. Isabella is already waiting in front of the elevator by the time I make it out of their office. Worry creases her eyebrows upon glancing at me, but I don't have time to answer the questions in her eyes. As soon as I reach her, I grab her arm, practically throw the two of us into an open elevator, and slam the button on the ground floor. Yeah, if the animatronics start doing that in the FNAF games, let me know, because then I will never play them. When stuff starts climbing through TV screens, that's where I draw the line. A sigh of relief as the elevator starts its descent. The clicking noise fades off into the distance. Beside me, Isabella shifts, moving the stack of papers under her arm while she takes in my appearance. Concern is in her eyes, though all I offer her is a small gesture of my hand. While I attempt to compose myself, breathe in,
Why
out.
are we in such a hurry?
We need to get out of this place. Did you get everything?
Look at that spooked sprite. Spooky sprite.
Yeah, it's all here. But really, you don't look too good. What's wrong, Ash?
I saw her.
I'll be fine. I was in the security room. From the monitors, there was a fucking...
The rest of what I'm about to say dies on my tongue when the elevator stops and the doors open to... This moment pause while we both take in our surroundings. Confusion is understandably there.
Oh, come on! They should just replace this whole thing.
We're still on the 3rd floor, not the ground.
No, I'm quite sure I pressed for the ground floor.
Right? But it's as Isabella said that the elevator always did have problems when I visited the past. Often she becomes so angry whenever we try to get to her floor, and she'll have to repeatedly smash the button in the elevator to even move. That was always good for a laugh. I wasn't too worried then. Now, from the distance beyond the light's reach, I don't see her. But she's coming. The noise echoes in my ears, along with the rapid pounding in my chest. Fuck that. Isabella stiffens and her eyes grow wide at the sound. Gingerly, she reaches up to grab the hem of my sleeve and grips it hard, tight enough for her fingernails to dig through. Her eyes searches wildly for the source of the sound, while I stand protectively in front of her.
Ash, did you hear that?
Anyone there? I can hear you moving from here. Show yourself.
No response. Only the soft sound of something scurrying around the floor, and the walls in slow, deliberate movements. Faint, though still audible enough for its hush. Till it stops. A moment.
We need to go, Ash. We have to.
It's too late. We're dead. And then, this time, I'm certain it isn't my imagination. Against my training, my whole body freezes. Hand stilling mid-press on the button. Eyes growing wide, while waiting for any sort of movement from the further back, and ears strained from the source of the sound. This is a QTE waiting to happen. I can't even offer Isabella any reassurances. Much as I hate to admit it, dread has seeped into every nerve of my body. And the blasted elevator still won't work.
This isn't in my fucking training manual!
Ash, we need to leave. I know that sound. Ash, please, get the elevator!
Her eyes actually bring terror into my soul. Another series of shuffling against the ground, laughter, and all of a sudden she's just there. Like a twisted spider, she stares at us. A look of hunger in her eyes and venom in the twisted manner she smiles. A glee she has well earned when we're damn flies that have been dropped right onto the spider's web.
Ashton!
Damn it! Damn it!
Without warning, she moves, mocking me with each unhurried crawl she takes, knowing I'm at her mercy.
Fucking hell!
Ashton, the door! The door!
Just hit the closed door button. Our lives are in the hands of a crummy elevator, literally hanging between life and death. We're not going to die here. Not in the damn elevator. I don't know what I'm supposed to be pressing. What am I supposed to press? Am I really supposed to be pressing 1? I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. Am I just supposed to spam? Oh, okay. Okay, now that I know what I'm doing, I am bad at these. Six, 1, 5, 9, 7, 1, 5, 8, 7, 6, 9, 1, 4, 5, 7, 2, 6, 9, 5, 4. Oh, come on, that's like cheating. 7, 3, 2, 1, 4. 4, 7, 5. Damn it. 2, 4, 9, 6, 7. Nope. 5, 9. Oh, literally, I'm fuck this. See, this is what happens when you never learn how to type. Oh, and of course, it's only the top buttons. How many of these do I have to successfully do? Nope, the numpad does nothing. You hear that? Nothing. I hit the right button there. I'm annoyed. Oh, come on! Come on! It gives you no time. When you hear the red click, it means that your time's up, and it's inconsistent. I have no clue. There's no informing, there's no information on screen. It's just, you lose. 8, 6, 2, 1, 4, 9, 7, 6, 3, 4, 4, 6, 1, 9, 8, 1, 8, 3, 6, 9. We're dead. We need like 200 word per minute for this. Tab. Yeah, F that. Fuck that. As if divine power has heard me swearing up a storm in my head, the doors close just as the thing looms near. Yeah, fuck that. Even when I press the right button, it goes click. Whoever programmed that, fuck you. It's almost like the option to skip QTEs exists because the devs realized, yeah, we fucking programmed some of these really arbitrarily. I gave it the good college try, we're never doing that again. Fuck that. As if divine power has heard me swearing up a storm in my head, the doors just close as that thing looms near. Soon the elevator of the blasted thing is headed up. Isabella's knees buckle in relief. In 2 ticks, she's hugging herself without any care for the mess of papers folders she has dropped on the floor in her panic. She draws in one ragged breath after another, each one brimming with nothing but a relief. And this is the most I've been tired in my whole damn life. Not during training, not when my superior first asked me to drop 100, not after a stakeout, after smashing a fucking elevator button repeatedly. I slump to the ground beside her, worn out, but I don't let myself feel relief again. Not until we're out of here. Isabella seems to be the same mind as she looks to me. Still, I find myself sharing a shaky laugh with her. I think the scariest part is if we didn't have the option to turn off or skip QTCs, this is just where the game ends. I would quit. I would probably give up and never play it again. And that wasn't like an actual game over, too. Like, apparently if we die as Ashton here, the story doesn't continue. We don't just cut to Luke Wright. This is the end of the game if you die here. That's like fucking stupid. Which means that the writers didn't plan for you fucking losing this minigame. They expected you to do this minigame, and they expected you to succeed. There's no dying and trying to get a better ending. Dying and getting a bad ending. It's just, no, this is where the story ends. There's more to tell, but we're not telling you. Learn to press random buttons in a random order, and learn to use specifically not the numpad on your keyboard to do it. Still, I find myself sharing a shaky laugh with her.
We're okay. We're fine. Right?
No, we're not fine.
Yeah, we're good. Alive. Fuck, we should have taken the goddamn stairs.
Twice I've seen it. Thrice if I include the party. Unless I'm tripping balls without realizing it, there's no doubt in my mind now that this is actually happening. I don't want to believe it. But with the truth staring me in the face, it'd be stupidity to deny the reality of the matter. I hope Seb's okay. As soon as the lift hits the ground floor, we hightail it out of the building. Seb's sound asleep when we pass by his station. However, in the face of what we've seen, everything I've faced tonight, we really can't care less who will still see us on our way out. The sooner we get away from this place, the farther the better. Still an undiscovered entry here. Ashton and Isabella beat a quick exit after getting what they needed. making sure not to leave evidence of their break-in. On their way out, however, the elevator malfunctioned and dropped them in the building's basement parking instead, where a familiar face welcomed them. I'm just not sure if that also means being safe. She almost got us, damn it. The fucking thing almost had us. Shit, it was only by luck we managed to get out of the fucking elevator unstuck. Had the blasted thing not worked at the last second. I needed some air. Fresh, breathable air that doesn't stink like death and gore all at once. I'm panicking. Christ, losing focus with another person in here. Can't afford that right now. Isabella hasn't said anything, but I know she's more shaken than I am. If I had a controller with QTEs and it was just button prompts in an order, maybe I could have done that, because it's 4 buttons, not 1 to 9 on like a far distance. Like, I have to hunt and peck that. So stupid.
Remember your training, Frey.
Remember your training. Yes, my paranormal investigator training. Another deep breath, and soon I'm starting the engines and driving us off. After that little incident, somewhere in the open would be good. Someplace I won't get trapped. Ah, great. The 29th begins and ends with the fucking park. Lexburn Park brings welcome relief, though only some. The chill that has seeped into my bones is still there, furling and unfurling underneath my skin. If I don't move, if I don't busy myself with anything, soon my brain will go haywire. It's the last thing I want to happen when there's plenty of things to do. But this already answers all of it, doesn't it? Those deaths. Just how many copies of the letter are out there? Isabella can't have the only one if other people are also getting cursed. Could it be that the one she has shown us is just one of 5, maybe even more? That whole pass it on to 5 people business is ridiculous, but at this point, is it still? All in all, we've found 21 people who might have read the letter. 7 of them deceased, 8 if we count Cooper. That's only with what we can find right now. We have no idea how the contractors and specialist hires from outside the company are doing. If we are in any way affected, how many more people are suffering, how many are missing, how many are dead. Can I still even blame the Wrights for this? If anything, they might be in danger as well. I don't think I can wish a curse upon anyone, no matter how big of a douchebag Luke Wright is. There's also that woman. How do we get out of this mess? How do we get away from her? Shit, still so many things we need to look into. Yet all of my body wants to do its pace. Burn out whatever excess energy there is in me.
I'm getting dizzy. Will you sit down?
It's the first time Isabella has said anything. She's been sitting quietly since we dropped here. Better and less distracting than watching her nervous habits, I suppose. She certainly seems calm now. Too calm, in fact, for someone who has just seen something terrible. But it's been more than a week for her already. People do get desensitized to things at some point, even for someone like Isabella. Someone who knows what's going on inside her head. Inside mine, there are too many, and none of them would sit still.
I'm not going crazy, am I? I saw that. I'm pretty sure I saw that. I didn't inhale anything weird. Just shit. Shit. Isabella, please tell me that wasn't...
That was not an illusion. You saw it. What I'm not expecting when I turn to her is mirth. One that she could barely contain.
You're laughing. Why are you laughing?
It's that I told you so. Oh, it feels so juicy to have an I told you so over someone like Ashton. I'm not quite sure what she sees in my face, but in the next second, a laugh suddenly bursts out from her.
I'm so sorry. It's just that you should have seen the look on your face back there.
Yes, right. Sure. I'm not the one who's panicked. You almost ripped my arm off.
Yeah, but...
Isabella, this isn't funny. We could have ended up dead.
That woman almost got us. We could have ended up
I
dead.
know, I'm really sorry. But this is just too precious to miss. You really lost your shit for a moment there.
You're trying to get back at me, aren't you?
Well, I'm not the one who kept calling someone scaredy cat for years. How does it feel?
I'm not scared.
Cathartic.
Really? Because it doesn't seem that way to me. At all.
I'm not, alright? I
shit my pants.
just don't know what to do right now.
Immediately after the moment passes, replaced by another tense silence, laughter dies on her lips as everything sinks in. We're in deep shit, and it has finally caught up and hit us like a ton of bricks. Hit me more than anyone. Because she has been warning us of this since day one. I'm the first person who brushed it off. Despite that, she still reaches out to me, tugging at my sleeve, almost desperately. Her hands are trembling, and there's a tremor in her voice when she speaks. Without the cheer, where only the fear remains. One that she has been burdened with from the beginning.
We're still going to do something about it, right? Not just stand around and let that thing get us.
Unexpectedly, she leans her forehead against my arm, and her grip on my sleeve tightens. There's a desperation in there, a quiet
Don't
plea.
want to lose anyone anymore, Ash.
I wish I could give her that promise. But with so many unknowns, so many things I don't understand about this, how could I? Why she still trusts that I can do something about it baffles me. It all feels wholly undeserved considering the way I've treated her. Yet despite my reluctance, I find myself returning to hold her in kind. A grasp warm and light enough for comfort. Not a promise, but the closest thing to it. And we're going to end here. Because I feel like we have accomplished a lot. We've been going for 2.5 hours. And next time we'll resume a different game. And the next time we resume this, I hope that we are almost done with QuickTime events, or that they are not as bullshit as that was. Until next time, bye-bye.